Good morning, team. Welcome to today's Tai Chi lesson, which also happens to be on World Tai Chi Day. So thank you for joining me for some practice on it today. We're going to be building on what we worked up to last week, which was waving hands in clouds to the right and single whip to the right. So we're going to keep within that context, but we're going to start working in the pauses again to help really reinforce that static strength as well as our position awareness and our feelings of how the sequence flows. So I'll go through a quick run through on what we've practiced so far, and then we'll really work on to the pauses. Today's lesson is also going to be a large part from the chair today. Since it is World Tai Chi Day, I want to make sure everybody has a fair opportunity to practice all these positions and see what the modification is. So, as always, we have the inhale as we lift to initiate movement. So that's the refresher. So remember, as much as we can, the feet initiate our movement and our weight shift guides it. So we don't want to collapse onto that leading foot. And always make sure everything is set where you would like it to be when you want to practice. And you don't need a lot of space. The steps don't have to be as big. And you want to really make sure you're stepping within what is comfortable for your control. So we'll work in the pauses this time to really build that awareness of each position. Always taking stock, what does this feel like? Am I lined up as I expect to be? Am I locking out my joints, or am I comfortable with the range of motion? Am I overextending, or am I still comfortable and in complete control? So the pauses, you just kind of pick a moment and the form. It can be at the clear definitions of beginning and end as we've learned them, or it can be somewhere in the middle. As you saw with the last waving hands and clouds, I stopped in the center of the transition from left until right to allow myself that feeling of the hips coming between the feet. Always when you pause, take a little bit of time, really feel where you're at. The choice is yours on how long that pause shall last. Just utilize it as a tool to build up your confidence and control. Because at the end of the day, your body is going to be the governor of how your forms move through each other and progress, and where your boundaries on control, balance, and comfort lie. So use the pauses as a way to maximize your connectivity to your body and the feeling of the movements. So I'm going to bring a chair over now and do that routine again with the pauses from the sitting position. I'll do a side profile as well. Still, you can get a lot of awareness and a lot of practice when you take the feet out, and really allows you to focus mostly on the movements of the core and body, your posture, and the sequencing of the hands. As always, your comfort dictates how big the movement is, and you don't want to overcompensate with a reach by locking out. So I'll do it from the side profile now. Again, incorporating some of the pauses just to give you that reference point for how you should try to align yourself. Now, not everybody will line up the same way. And as we know, with Parkinson's disease, that curved posture really can start to take a hold. The opening of and closing of hands action is kind of like a power up. So, feel like you can extend that chest up a little bit and hold it through that movement sequence. That's a good way to incorporate some of those other familiar movements we've been practicing in all our other workout classes. Now the side profile. We got Bob representing Tai Chi at Trinity in my little sign there. Taking advantage of a day where everybody around the world is practicing Tai Chi together. So you're not practicing alone. So as you can see, even from the side profile, you get a little more awareness of the front to back control of the body and how my shoulders want to drop forwards, but I'm able to fight against that, much like many of you can. It's always about staying in control and feeling the movement. If you feel like you're forcing something or trying to rush it, take a step back and just let the movement happen. Don't force it. Gradually, your range of motion and your muscles will start to accommodate and really allow you that engagement within. So you'll be there before you know it. Just don't force anything to happen before it's ready. That usually doesn't end up well for very many people. So I hope you've been practicing and enjoying the videos so far. And if you feel like you're just trying to keep up with them as they go, the beauty of the videos is you can always go back and watch it again. You can repeat the same lesson many times if you wish. I know we're back in the gym today, so that's kind of encouraging that things are going to start returning to how we used to have them. I still think there'll be some changes to be made, but you have many tools available to keep yourself moving and to keep your practice up. So let's try it all together again, this time without the pauses, but really allowing that smoothness to come through. So I added in an extra opening and closing hands. That is the next part of the sequence. You can guess that's about where we end and begin for each one, so it's really easy to apply it. And before you know it, we'll be at the end of the routine for what you've learned so far. And it's a solid routine to keep working on your balance and your strength and your flexibility while allowing you to release that pent-up stress from being trapped in the house for the past 2 months or any day-to-day activities that feel like they start to wear on you. This is, after all, a good relaxation form of exercise also. And if you don't remember it well, practice that small piece. I think in the first video I mentioned the concept of having a small vocabulary but great expression. So you don't need a bunch of movements to feel like you're proficient with your Tai Chi practice. Practice what you control the best and use it as often as you can. And I think of the new movements or further progression of the routine as learning new vocabulary. So we'll go again with the front view this time. And I'm going to do standing with the footwork, and then I'll do a standing still as well. Hopefully everybody that started out in a chair can do the first couple of moves at least standing still before they feel like they need to sit down. That's always a good test to find out how your strength is coming along. Keeping yourself safe is always the most important. However, test yourselves a little bit and find out where your new boundaries lie. That way you're always progressing forwards, no matter how slow that may be. Inhaling on the lift, we'll begin. When you practice it with the pauses and then go into the traditional practice of maintaining the smoothness, do you find it easier to be smooth? Do you feel like you're more aware of how your arms or feet behave, or move or place? If you still answer, I don't know, that's okay. Just keep practicing, keep incorporating the pauses, and really feel where everything lines up. That is an important aspect to all of this. Plus, it's going to help you become more in tune with your body for non-Tai Chi activities. So we want to make sure we're allowing ourselves that opportunity to feel that positioning. Do you feel like we're more confident now in our Tai Chi? More comfortable in our own stance and sitting? Do you feel rooted to the floor when you're standing up? These are all other areas of our attention that we should be incorporating whenever we can. So there's always plenty to improve upon, even when it feels like we're doing the same thing again and again. After all, practice is how we get better at anything. But allow your mind to become more aware of your positioning, how the joints feel, what does your energy feel like? Do you feel like you don't get as tired practicing your Tai Chi now, whereas before you felt like you were working hard for the little bit of movements we were doing? And now do you feel like you can go longer bouts of practice? A serious practice is about an hour a day. So if you were making it 30 minutes at a time, or you could get through 3 moves standing up and had to do waving hands like clouds sitting, and now you can take the whip in standing and get through 1 set of waving hands and clouds before you have to sit. Those are all signs of improvement and progress. Doesn't matter how small they are. Just allow yourself a chance to see it and feel it. So this next demonstration will be just standing still to give you an idea of how long standing should be if you're not comfortable taking the footwork yet. Feel good? Feel like you're progressing forward better than you originally thought? As we keep practicing, you will begin to get that connection. It will occur. And then you'll find yourself just kind of doing the movements, not paying attention to the count. And that's when you know you're really starting to allow yourself to relax and just really connect with how your body moves. And all of which bring us back around to why we started this practice to begin with. To feel that connection and feel like we're still in control of our bodies. For the next practice, I'll return to sitting for it facing forwards. And I'm going to incorporate keeping the tongue on the roof of the mouth again. I mentioned it a while back, and it helps to connect the 2 meridian channels that run forward along the front and the back of the body. which also follow the governing channels very well. Also, that's one more layer of detail to add to your practice. And that is just another sign of progress if you can maintain your tongue on the roof of your mouth for the full routine. And as always, when you're breathing, it's a relaxed breath. Doesn't have to synchronize your movements. It may naturally on its own, and that's great. But don't force that to happen. We'll take a good cleansing breath, relaxing everything we don't need so far. Resetting everything on the inside. Take another breath, just thinking about the movements we've been practicing and where does everything line up. Inhale on the lift, and we'll begin. Very good. Feel good? More relaxed than the previous practices? Excellent. So we want to make sure everything is comfortable as we go. That's going to be a large recurring theme for all our practices. Being mindful we're not locking out our joints. We're letting that bend still be present. We're letting the weight shift dictate when the foot moves and when we take our steps. Incorporating all the principles from the basics videos that have been published so far. Making sure we're breathing comfortably and allowing ourselves to relax the muscles we don't need for the movement being performed. And as we continue to practice together, that becomes easier and easier still. Thank you for joining me. We have about 10 minutes left. So I'm going to do another practice, seated and just off center of the camera, but for the back view. as I know many of you enjoy that one and feel like it's helpful. Inhaling on the lift, we'll begin. All right. Thank you for joining me today, team. We'll begin our cool down, and it's going to be very similar to how our warm-ups have been, except for today's warm-up, which I neglected to add to today's video. So please be sure you continue to warm up and cool down as appropriate for yourself. And we'll start with that gentle step out, raising our hands in front, interlock the fingers, rotate and press over our heads. If you can look at your hands, great. If not, looking straight ahead is great too. Separate the fingers and let them come down gently in front of you. We'll do that again. One more time. Give it a little settling down. Bring your weight over your right foot. Let the left foot come in and out 10 times. Steadying yourself on that right leg. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Gently bring the weight to the left foot. Same activity with the right leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then just lightly bend the knees and give yourself a little punch to your thighs. Help settle that chi down in there. Bring that circulation back into the legs. Shake out the arms a little bit. Give yourself a gentle walk around, feeling everything as it settles down, being aware of what you feel in the feet. And continue to walk around a little bit more. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. I really enjoy these videos. I hope you've been finding them helpful. And as always, reach out to Allison or myself, and we'll incorporate more of what you specifically request instead of it just being a generic subject. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful World Tai Chi Day.